She tugged my sleeve that evening, her fingers trembling, eyes darting toward the closed door of her parents' room. "Uncle," she whispered, "there's something I need to tell you." Her voice was too quiet, too deliberate. Children don't whisper like that unless fear has been carved into them. I followed her down the hallway, my chest tightening with every step. The room smelled faintly of perfume, but not my sister-in-law's. My niece stopped in front of the wardrobe, placed her small hand on the handle, and looked up at me. "Promise you won't be angry with me?" she said. I nodded, though my pulse betrayed me. She slid the door open. Inside, tucked behind neatly folded shirts, was a thin stack of notebooks. Schoolwork, at first glance. But she opened one, pages filled not with homework, but letters. Love letters. Some folded, some unfinished, each signed. Not by my brother. The handwriting was unmistakable. My throat closed, though I said nothing. She stared at me, waiting for me to speak, but all I could manage was a quiet, "Thank you for showing me." Her eyes flickered with relief, as if she'd passed on a burden too heavy for her. And in that moment, I knew, this house wasn't what it seemed. That night I lay awake in the guest room, staring at the ceiling, hearing only the sound of pipes and the faint creak of wood. The image of those letters burned into my skull. Her handwriting curved around sentences that made my stomach clench. "I can't keep pretending. He doesn't know. I'll meet you when he's gone." Every word was a knife slipped between my brother's ribs. Only he hadn't felt it yet. I should have dismissed it, told myself it was nothing. But the dates lined up too cleanly, matching the weeks when my brother had been traveling for work. And worse, some notes spoke about my niece. Not cruelly, but in a way that suggested bargaining. "She's always around. It's hard to meet. I'll make an excuse." I couldn't erase the unease from my chest. By dawn, the betrayal had already hardened into something colder. Not anger, not despair. A need for truth. I moved through breakfast silently, watching her pour tea, smile, chatter. My brother kissed her cheek before heading to the office. She wore the same smile when he left, effortless, unbroken. But I had seen what lived beneath it, and now I needed proof. I started small, quietly. Her phone often sat on the counter when she cooked. One evening, while she was distracted, I mirrored it to my device. It was almost too easy. Patterns emerged. Calls late at night, always when my brother was out. Messages deleted, but fragments remained in the backups. "Can't wait. Need you." I didn't confront. I didn't breathe wrong. Outwardly, I was the same, the polite brother-in-law, the helpful uncle. Inside, though, my mind sharpened into a weapon. One afternoon, I took my niece for ice cream. We passed a small pharmacy. I stepped in, bought a DNA kit, slipped it into the bag. My hands didn't shake. A week later, I swabbed a straw my niece had used, paired it with my brother's toothbrush. The results arrived in a plain envelope. I opened it in the silence of my car. Not his child. My chest went still. No heat, no cry, just silence. The kind of silence that signals the end of something sacred. I waited until Sunday evening. Dinner finished, table cleared. My brother leaned back, content, unaware. She smiled as she carried dishes into the kitchen. I placed the envelope on the table. "Open it," I told her. She paused, eyes flicking to me, then to the envelope. A smile tugged her lips, but it faltered when she saw my face. She opened it. Red. The color drained from her cheeks. She looked at me, then at him. This isn't—" He reached for the paper, his brow furrowing. When he read the line, "Probability of paternity, 0%, the silence that followed was heavier than any scream. He looked at her, searching for denial, for explanation. She stammered, shook her head, tears welling. I didn't move, didn't blink. I simply said, "You needed to know." She broke first. "It was a mistake," she whispered. "It meant nothing. Please." He stared at her, mouth open, but no sound came. I stood, calm, steady. "I'll take my things," I said, sliding the chair back. "But understand this, she never intended to stop, and she never intended to tell you." Her sobs filled the room, desperate, ugly. My brother's silence was worse, a man hollowed out, crumbling in real time. I left the envelope on the table. Proof. A wound he couldn't ignore and she couldn't explain away. When I reached the door, I turned back once. She looked at me as if I'd ruined her life. But I hadn't. She had. I simply lit the match. I drove that night without destination, headlights cutting through the dark. My phone buzzed again and again, calls from him, from her. I didn't answer. The road stretched endlessly, quiet, clean. There was no triumph, no joy, just clarity. I had exposed what festered beneath the surface. I had given my brother the truth, unvarnished, merciless. And now the weight was no longer mine to carry. I thought of my niece, innocent in all of this. She would grow to learn what kind of woman her mother truly was. That was inevitable. I exhaled, steady. The night swallowed me whole, and I let it. Because betrayal is not punished by rage. It's punished by truth. And truth, once spoken, never dies. I hadn't destroyed her. I had simply unmasked her, and that was enough.